Hi, I'm Tom French. I'm the lead designer of the Saboteur for Pandemic Studios. So the Saboteur is a story about Sean Devlin, who's an Irish race car driver who was formerly a mechanic who turns into a saboteur. It's actually inspired by a real guy. It's set in occupied Paris in World War II. It's about Sean actually seeking revenge. We didn't want to do your traditional World War II game. Sean, early in the game, goes over into Germany for a race, and then after the race, his best friend gets killed by this guy Dierker. And so Sean spends his time really just trying to seek revenge rather than your typical political motivations in a World War II based game. So if I had to say the two most defining features of the Saboteur, one would be the fact that you can just climb everything in the game. You can literally climb up to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and so you can really explore. Yeah. So I think the two most defining features of the Saboteur, one is just the ability to climb anything in the game. You can literally climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower, anything that looks like it can be climbed. So what it does is it creates this world where from the streets to the rooftops, you can really explore everything and kind of get that parkour fantasy running through the Parisian buildings, which is really cool. The other thing I would say is the most defining feature actually over everything is just what we call the will to fight in the game, which is this idea of when the areas are occupied, they're black and white. It's this very harsh Sin City look in the game. And then as you work through the missions in the game, you inspire these areas and color literally bleeds back out into the world and inspires the people, which you see in this picture here. And so it defines the game visually, but it has a gameplay element too, where you actually inspire the people and the resistance fight along your side. So what we're excited to be showing for the first time here today is just the pure sandbox element of our game. It's a game that's a 5.5 by 5.5 kilometer map, and literally every block has something to do. You're blowing up towers and tanks and sniping generals and taking out propaganda speakers, and just how that feeds into the alarms and the escalation of the game, and then how using all that the player can get perks and improve Sean's abilities in the game. So I think the most challenging part of the Saboteur is just putting a big game like this together. Like the game is about 20 to 25 hours long, and there's just tons of content to do literally everywhere. And what's been really rewarding about that though is like watching the designers and the people and developers that have been working on the game for so long and just focusing on small parts of the game really actually get to see the game as a whole and actually just sitting down playing it. So they're seeing how our ambient towers and things like that impact all the missions of the game, getting to play everybody else's missions and be like, wow, we have a really kick-ass game here. So it's been a tough project because of the scope that we've been trying to build this game and like really defining and creating a new character that we all believed in. And once we defined Sean, and everything kind of just became natural after that. Like Sean is our action hero that we wish he could be in our hearts. And after that, just what kind of world would he exist in? It became easy to answer. And so the team really just rallied around that. And like we have a really solid team, solid programming, design, art, everything across the board. So it's been just great to work with all these people. Like we all just inspire each other on a daily basis and just make something we're really proud of. So if you had our art director here, he could go on and on about the Parisian artists that actually inspired a lot of the visual quality of the game. But also there's this whole like cinematic influence to our game, which is the black and white, which is very film noir and Sin City inspired, which reads as this kind of heavy, dark, occupied feeling. But on top of that, you have these worlds that coexist where there's these occupied areas with that noir look, but then there's this kind of, the Parisian fantasy for us was this, inspired by films like Amelie, and so it's bright and colorful and vibrant, or even just the warm tones of an Indiana Jones. So it's a lot of like art all coming together and design to make all of this happen.